sorry, roll call. No, I do it. I'm sorry. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I apologize. Please remain standing. Tonight we have a special guest joining us, Mr. Rajan Zed, the President of the Universal Society of Hinduism. He's going to do our invocation tonight. Mr. Zed?
I will read in Sanskrit and translate into English, please. It is a historic moment of pride for the community when the prayers from ancient Sanskrit scriptures are being read in this great hall of democracy of this great city of Newman. Om Bhurvubhuvah Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Na Prachodayat. We meditate on the transcendental glory of the Deity Supreme, who is inside the heart of the earth, inside the life of the sky, and inside the soul of the heaven. May He stimulate and illuminate our minds. Astoma Sadgamya, Tamsoma Jyotirgamya, Mrityur Mamratam Gamya. Lead me from the unreal to the real, lead me from darkness to light, lead me from death to immortality. Niyatam Kuru Karma Tvam Karma Jyao Hya Karmana Sarira Yatra Pi Chatena Prasidhyat Karmana Jagnarthat Karmana Nyatra Lokoyam Karma Bandhana Tadartham Karma Kauntaya Mukta Sang Samachara. Fulfill all your duties, action is better than inaction. Even to maintain your body, you are obliged to act. Selfish action imprisons the world. Act selflessly without any thought of personal profit. Tasmada sakta statam karma samachara asakto hyacharan karma paramapnoti purusha karma nevahi samsiddhi mastita jankadaya loka singreha mevapi sampasham kartum rahasi. Strive constantly to serve the welfare of the world. By devotion to selfless, one attains the supreme goal of life. Do your work with the welfare of others always in mind. Om Saha Navavatu, Saha Navunaktu, Saha Viryan Karva Bahai, Tejasvi Navadita Mastu, Ma Vidvisa Bahai. May we be protected together, may we be nourished together, may we work together with great vigor, may our study be enlightening, may no obstacle arise between us. Samni va akuti, samna hridayani va, samnamastu vo mano, yathava susa hasti. United your resolve, united your hearts, may your spirits be at one, that you may long together dwell in unity and concord. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace be all to all. Om. Thank you.
Thank you. And just I'd like to mention that Mr. Zed traveled all the way from Reno, Nevada this evening just to do our invocation. So thank you so much for coming. We appreciate
Thanks for
it.
inviting me.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 3. Roll call.
Councilmember Davis.
Present.
Hutchins. Candia.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Martina.
Present.
Mayor Keating.
Present, thank you. Item 5, declaration of conflicts of interest. Seeing none, we'll go to item 6, ceremonial matters. And this evening we have a proclamation for Library Week, and we have our local librarian, Wayne, who's present. Wayne, you want to step up to the podium? Welcome.
Thank you.
I won't go through all the whereases because there's several, but we do this annually, and it's a proclamation of the mayor of the city of Newman. I'll just read through a couple of them. Whereas the library use is up nationwide among all types of library users, continuing a decade-long trend. Whereas reading is a basic key to achieving personal success in school, business, and life. Whereas libraries ensure equal access to knowledge, information, and offer valuable readings, resources, and services to the public. Whereas libraries provide free resources such as employment searches, online interviews, preparation, resume assistance, and tutoring support that are particularly important during difficult economic times. Whereas libraries offer preschool story times and summer reading programs to encourage children to begin the habit of reading that will serve them and benefit their personal and professional lives. Now, therefore, I, Ed Caton, Mayor, City of Newman, do hereby proclaim April 13 through 19, 2014 as National Library Week in the City of Newman, and urge everyone to visit this library and take advantage of the wonderful resources they provide.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to say something, please?
I certainly would. On behalf of the library, I very much appreciate this proclamation, and the partnership between the cities and the county in the library system is very important to all of us. And I want to take a few moments to mention some programs that are going on in the coming month and in the coming summer at the library. We have our monthly family game night on Tuesday, April 15th from 4:30 to 6. We play board games and cards and teach the kids how to share and behave with each other. We have a lot of fun, don't we, Elise? On Saturday, April 19th, from 1:30 to 2:30, we're having a craft. We're making cherry blossoms out of popcorn. And I just want to give a big heads up that summer reading is coming. It's our biggest events of the year. And starting in May, we're going to have a lot of stuff going on at the library, and the kids can earn a lot of prizes just by reading and having fun. On a more personal note, I want to just say how much fun I've had and how much I've enjoyed my time here in Newman. I don't know if the word has trickled out yet, but I've accepted the job as the librarian at the Patterson Library. And my first day was a couple weeks ago, and I'm already kind of missing Newman. Patterson's a great city, but I've been here for almost 3 years, and I very much have enjoyed my time here, the community, the people I've met. Your new librarian here in Newman will start on the 21st. Her name is Natalie Karsten, and she's been working at the Turlock Library up to this point. But once again, I want to thank the Friends. Cressy, president of the Friends, has been incredibly supportive of the library itself, of helping my job out immensely. The Newman Library would not be what it is without the Friends of the Newman Library and without Cressy. And I just wanted to say thank you all very much.
Well, thank you, Wayne, and congratulations, and good luck in your new adventure in Patterson.
Thank you. Cressy, did you want to say anything? If you don't mind?
Sure.
Hi, I'm Kristen Seymour. I'm the president of Friends of the Newman Library. I live at 1205 P Street, Newman. Just wanted to say that I'm really appreciative that you read the proclamation today. I think it's really important that our city has a library. We're really getting kids into the library. I think I got like bikes from Walmart, slushies from JJ's, ices from Burger King, ice creams from Rite Aid. Every week that the kids came in, they got those prizes, and they all worked towards the big bikes that we got them from Walmart. So we're going to try to do the same thing this year and also add some adult prizes. Hopefully, if I can get Amazon and Patterson to give me some Kindle Fires, we'll try to get some really nice adult prizes and some prizes for the teens as well. So I think we're going strong at the library, and I'm going to miss you very much, Wayne. You've been a wonderful librarian. But anyway, thank you very much. That's it.
Thank you, Cressy. Appreciate it. And congratulations, Wayne, again, and good luck in Patterson. Okay, we'll go to item 7, items from the public, non-agenda items. Any member of the public wish to address the council, now would be the time to do it. See, now go to item 8, consent calendar. A is waive all readings of ordinances and resolutions except by title. B is approval of the warrants. C is approval of the minutes of the March 25, 2014 meeting. D is adopt resolution number 2014, next in number, declaring certain personal property surplus property and authorizing disposal and/or sale of said property. Council direction?
I'll make a motion, we approve the consent calendar as is.
I'll second that motion.
Been a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Councilmember Hutchins absent. Okay, we'll go to item 9, public hearing. A is adopt resolution number 2014, next in number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4. Lieutenant Short.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight before you is a property abatement notice. Abatement notices for property maintenance were sent to several properties in accordance with ordinance number 95-4, chapter 2, title 8-2-3. This notice informs property owners of all nuisance abatement procedures, options, and their right to object at a public hearing. A final compliance survey was performed on Monday, April 7th, and one property has failed to comply with the initial notice. That property is 709 Fig Lane. Some photographs of the property there. There's an outbuilding behind this that has a lot of garbage and the weeds are high. It's become a magnet for transients and local drug use. Staff report is submitted for council consideration and possible future action. I can answer any questions.
Any questions, comments of Lieutenant before we open public hearing? Okay. Public hearing is now open. Anybody wish to address council regarding this property? Seeing none, close public hearing, bring it back to council for direction.
I so move that we adopt resolution number 2014, next number, a resolution declaring the existence of a public nuisance under ordinance number 95-4.
Second the motion?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Councilmember Hutchins absent. Thanks, Lieutenant. Okay, item 10, regular business. A is report on appointments to fill the Architectural Review Committee vacancies. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. Currently, the city has 2 vacancies on our Architectural Review Committee. One of those committees, or one of those positions is assigned to a citizen at large, and the second is a representative from the business community and/or the Chamber of Commerce, and those 2 are currently vacant right now, or at least are expiring. Mr. Kent Maddenwall has served on the Architectural Review Committee as a citizen at large for a number of years. It should be duly noted that the Architectural Review Committee plays a very important role in our community, and you can see that by some of the new commercial buildings that have come in and the level of detail that they require these new buildings to do. And then, you know, this, for instance, let's just take the newest building, the Dollar General that came in, but if you look at a different community, the Dollar General looks a lot different. This one has a lot more bells and whistles, a lot more architectural detail, and it's because of people like Mr. Maddenwall here who takes the time to get in there and to work with the developer and to work with the contractors to make sure that we get the touches that we need and make Newman unique within Stanislaus County and northern San Joaquin Valley. So he should be commended for his years of service. Mr. Maddenwall is seeking reappointment for the Citizens at Large position right now. Unfortunately, with the business community and the Chamber of Commerce, typically the Chamber of Commerce has selected one of their members to serve on that Architectural Review Committee. As you know, the Chamber of Commerce is kind of going through a reorg right now, and so now may not be the best of time for them to assign somebody. It's staff's opinion that the Architectural Review Committee can effectively run with 4 members. Until our Chamber of Commerce is ready to put forth a member or another member of the business community steps forward and wants to take on that role for the 2-year stint. We're confident that the 4 existing members can do a very good job that they have been doing, as you can see with the new building. So with that, we would recommend that the City Council go ahead and appoint Mr. Maddenwall, reappoint him to the Citizens at Large position, and then leave the business community / Chamber of Commerce position open, and we'll check back with them every couple months and just see where they're at. We can also put it on our website in case there's a business member of the business community that would like to step in and fill that role. So with that, I can answer any questions that you may have.
Questions or comments for the city manager? Ken, I just thank you for your continued support and desire to give back to the community. So,
You're welcome. It's my pleasure.
well, we're glad to have you. So if someone would like to make the motion to appoint?
I'd like to make a motion to appoint Ken Maddenwall to the position of Architectural Review Committee.
Second the motion?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you for your commitment, Ken, appreciate it. And hopefully, the chamber might be able to get somebody interested in any other member of the public. So it is a very important role in our community. So again, thank you for your support and continued help. Okay. Go to item B, report on park rental fees. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is an item that's been on our agenda off and on for the last several months. I think we're reaching some of the final steps here in the enactment for some changes in our municipal code. As you know, over the past couple of years, not only in our city, but in cities valley-wide, there's been an increase in travel teams or non-city sponsored teams. The trouble becomes is when those teams need practice space, and then there's city-sanctioned teams that are trying to practice as well, and sometimes there's some conflicts. Also, there's also some wear and tear because not all the members of those teams are always local members of our community. So, pursuant to the recommendations of the Recreation Commission, the City Council just last month, or 2 months ago, I'm sorry, finally adopted an ordinance that requires these teams, these non-city sponsored teams, to secure a permit from the city prior to having games in the field in our city-owned properties, as well as practicing. Part of that is too, there's wear and tear that goes along with that, but the other thing is the liability insurance, and making sure that the city is adequately covered for liability insurance, and no one's going to come back and sue the city if they get hurt in one of these sporting events that may be taking place on city-owned property. That's a very important piece of that. As well as moving forward, today attached to your staff report, we created 2 forms to be used for people to fill out. What we're proposing is a $30 per game fee for the use of these facilities. At this point in time, we would limit those sporting events to either Bush Rose Field or Sherman Park. If the organization elects to use Sherman Park, we are also asking an additional $30 per day for the use of the restrooms. At $30 would really cover our staff coming in on Monday, cleaning up and restocking the supplies that would take place in terms of the usage on that day. So if somebody came to to the City Hall, wanted to use Sherman Park for 2 games on a Saturday, it would be $30 per game, so that'd be $60, and then they would have use of the restroom facility there, because 2 games is probably going to attract a lot of people, and a $30 fee there, so a $90 fee for hosting those 2 games with the restroom facilities. We don't think that's too much out of the realm to ask. The same cost for the games would apply to Bush Rose, $30 per game. Unfortunately, we don't have restroom facilities at Bush Rose, so that kind of makes Sherman Ranch a better opportunity for them. But if they're really cost conscious, they could use Bush Rose at just $30 per. There's some liability insurance that's required in there. We put that $1 million liability, and that's something that our Risk Management Association requires, and we've been following their guidelines with that. So when you think about a soccer game, really, you get in there and you warm up. You're usually there 30 to 40 minutes ahead of time. The game takes about an hour and a half, so it's about a 2-hour event. At $30, you're only paying $15 an hour. I mean, there's 22 people on the playing field, so you're paying less than $1 a person per hour. I think that's a very reasonable rate. It will help us offset any of the impacts onto the turf and some of the grass and associated areas over there. So with that, we put a resolution in front of you, and we're asking you to adopt that resolution setting these fees at $30 for the use of the fields, an additional $30 per day for the restroom structures at Sherman Park. So I can answer any questions that you may have at this time.
Questions or comments to the city manager?
Just a question, Michael. Non-city sponsored sporting event, is there a lot of those?
No, there's probably maybe 4 or 5 teams
Okay.
in the
So
area.
there are
Yeah.
some that-
Yeah, there's some 12U teams, there's some youth teams, as well as some adult teams. So I would say, I'd venture to guess at any time, it's probably 3 to 5 teams. I think it just really depends on how many people sign up that particular year.
So how is this enforced? Let's say, for instance, they went out in the field.
Yeah, they will get a copy of the form that's attached to your report. They have to take that to the field. If they get caught without that, then there'll be a fine for them. And they'll be no longer be allowed to utilize that facility if they're not securing permits ahead of time. A lot of the organizations are already coming to us and letting us know about their games. We already have a relationship with them. Sometimes they come up to these meetings there, and so we think this is a nice balance between, allowing them the facilities for games. As you can see, we're not charging them for practice time, so they can continue to practice in our facilities. The only caveat is if there's a city-sanctioned team out there, they get first use of the facility, so they may have to maybe use a smaller portion of that playing surface at that point in time. But at this point, with baseball going on, which is always big, is always a big deal, and practice facilities out there, I don't really see that there's going to be a big issue, because the number of baseball teams is down this year.
Thank you, Michael.
And these fees are pretty consistent with other cities?
Be honest with you, we didn't really look at what the other cities were charging. We looked at what our cost would be. And we thought that was probably the most fairest way to do it. And we worked with our Public Works staff and they came up with these numbers for us and said, these are reasonable numbers for them for the impact that they're going to have. So we didn't really base it on what the other cities were, just basically what our cost was, just to cover our time and materials to do any repairs.
But it seems pretty minimal, so.
It is.
So with this then, we're not having issues with people just showing up and using our facilities per se?
Not as much anymore. We had been in the past, but making sure they're getting their liability insurance, making sure that they're coming in and getting their permit before the game, making sure they're paying their fee ahead of time. So, but based on some of the relationships that we've been able to develop with them over the last year, most of them are now coming in and talking to us and getting that done.
So it's important, at least for them to keep their application or paperwork with them, should they show up at a facility that they have properly rented and
Correct.
somebody else is there, so.
And it also shows that if there's two competing teams, hey, look, we got first use,
Right.
we put out the permit, so.
Right. Great. Thank you. Council direction?
I'll make a motion, we adopt resolution number 214, next numbers, setting the rental fee associated with non-city sponsored sporting events held on city-owned property.
I second that motion.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Councilmember Hutchins absent. Okay, we'll go to item C. Report on potential voter approved residential urban growth boundary. Michael?
Thank you, Mayor. You may recall in January of this year, we had a real high-level discussion about what Stanislaus County LAFCO policy would be with respect to ag preservation. One of the potential ideas that could put us in compliance with the LAFCO ag preservation policy would be a voter-approved measure/initiative. With that, staff has done some research and worked with Ms. Norton, our legal counsel. What we've done is we went to Ventura County. Ventura County is one of the leading counties with respect to doing these open space ag preservations or urban growth boundaries. In Ventura County, they're called SOAR, Save Open Space and Ag Resources. In fact, so much so that when LAFCO adopted their policy and then they held a planners conference, a number of people from Ventura County came up to speak at that conference and talk about the successes that they've had with the adoption of these measures in their county. So with that being said, we went down in terms of looking at the ordinances that were online and pulled those off, and we believe that we found one that could be adopted for our local issues. And moved forward. So tonight, I just want to go over it with you, get your general thoughts. We're not asking you to take an action tonight, but at least give us a general thumbs up or a thumbs down if that's something that you think you can live with. We can always bring it back in another meeting. And then we can finalize some of the other resolutions and other documents that would be necessary in order to get a measure put on the November ballot. So as we open it up and we turn to the second page, which is the ordinance. So what this would be is this would be an ordinance moving in. And then the ordinance would actually be something that was adopted into our general plan. So you can see the purpose and the findings here. And again, these are very consistent with what they did in Ventura County, but it's really to encourage growth patterns and protect the city's quality of life by setting an urban growth boundary. Talking about how that protects the character of Newman while encouraging appropriate economic development. It allows us to continue to meet the reasonable housing needs for all economic segments of the population, and so forth and so forth. As part of when we get into B, then we start talking about some findings that need to be made, and findings are necessary for all types of ordinances that are coming in. And again, it really just stresses the importance of agriculture and open space in this area, as well as the quality of life that we here in Newman tend to cherish and believe that is very important. And as you can see that in some of the buildings that we're doing and some of the other things that we're doing to preserve our downtown. So with that, I'm going to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of this. What this ordinance would do is it would take our existing general plan, and on that general plan, go ahead, Mike, and hit the map. This is our general plan, and this purple line around the outside edge here is actually our sphere of influence. That's an adopted sphere of influence, adopted not only by us, but recognized by LAFCO as well. What this ordinance would do is if it went to a vote of the people and they endorsed this measure, it would set that as our urban growth boundary until 2040. So that's 25 years from now. It would set that as our urban growth boundary. So what that does, it says we're gonna grow inside of that boundary, and we're gonna constrain it, and we're gonna do good compact development. With that being said, even when you looked at Ventura County, there are some amendment procedures that are built into this because we don't know what's going to happen in the future, and you never want to entirely change or tie the hands of future councils. So there are a couple ways that this urban growth boundary could be amended. One of them is we added, because we have a general plan goal, which is LU6. LU6 states, the city will provide adequate land for and promote development of employment uses that create high-quality jobs and enhance the economy of Newman. If we're going to meet that goal, that we have to be able to provide that land. So by doing that, what you're saying is if our inventory of undeveloped commercial, non-residential land ever goes below 100 acres, this council, there's a procedure for the council sitting at the time to amend the urban growth boundary. There has to be a public hearing. There has to be certain findings that are met in order to get that done. You can't say if we run out of non-residential uses, we're not going to create jobs in our community for 10 years if there's 10 years left. There has to be a mechanism for which people or this council can amend the measure. And again, it's through a public hearing process. You have to have a certain number of public hearings, you have to have a CEQA document, and you have to make certain findings. You have to be able to demonstrate that your non-residential land use has gone below 100 acres. If you go below 100 acres, you need to start planning to go up, because the 100 acres can go pretty quick. If you look at Patterson, 2 buildings out there could potentially be 100 acres. So you really have to plan accordingly. The second measure talks about when the gentleman from the BIA was here, Mr. Beckman was here, and he addressed that, and he said, there are state provisions there for housing requirements. You need to have some language in here that protects yourself from state law. So there's a process in here that the city council can amend the urban growth boundary if the state will find us out of compliance with state housing laws. Again, there's a process by which, you have to have a public hearing, and you have to make findings, and you have to have a CEQA document and all the like that goes in there. So those are the 2 big ones. When you look at it, they're still those issues are things that were brought up in Ventura County, and we're just bringing them forward to Newman as well. So again, insertion date. So again, if this was passed, we would amend our general plan. And what we're doing is we're going backwards. You're going to see a date in there that says January 1st, 2014. And people are going to say, well, why you pick that date? The reason we picked January 1st, 2014 is we're going backwards to show the community that we're not trying to sneak something in before that particular date. So whatever that date was on the 1st of this year, because the election is this year, whatever it was on the first day of this year, that's what that sphere of influence is going to look like, and that's going to be our urban growth boundary for the next 25 years. So I think it's a good faith effort to show people that, there's no tricks being had here. We're going forward with what we have and what was in place on the first day of this particular year. So the other pieces are just kind of more of housekeeping, severability, amendment and repeal, and competing measures. So we're not, again, we're not asking you to take official action on this today. What we are asking is maybe you can take this home, digest it a little bit. If you have any questions now, I can answer it. We can bring this back. This is something we probably want to get in front of you in terms of a final product at the end of May. And that would include all resolutions and documents necessary to get this on the November ballot, if that's something that you feel you want to need to move forward with. What I would also ask council for is permission to go and meet with LAFCO staff and to meet with some of the members of the LAFCO Board of Directors. And the reason is, we want to have some kind of assurances that if we go through with this process, that LAFCO is not going to change the rules of the game later on after we've gone through this process and say, okay, yeah, you went and did what we told you to do, go get a voter-approved measure, and now you've met our ag preservation policy. But now we're changing the policy on you, and you have to do this and this and this on top of it. We want to be able to get some assurances that, you know, we're making a good faith effort to comply with the ag preservation policy that LAFCO has put before us. We're putting something in front of our residents to, you know, put an urban growth boundary on here for 25 years, which we think is a very reasonable timeframe for ag preservation. And then with your permission, I would meet with some of those board members as well as LAFCO staff, and then report back to you after providing them a chance to review our document.
Yeah, Michael, I think this just kind of goes along with what Newman has always done long before this council and councils before have been very conscientious about our growth pattern and preserving our ag land and coming up with our general plan. And a lot of thought and a lot of work went into that, and this just goes along with what we've done in the past, and I think it's a great document, it's a good idea, and it again just shows that Newman is very conscientious about our growth, and we're not a sprawling city, we're a smart growth city.
And I think that the council may recall, you know, one of our economic development strategies is always quality of life. You know, we want to offer quality of life to our residents, and by doing that in turn, we hope will attract businesses to our area. You know, it's always been our goal that when somebody comes into town and says, hey, I'm looking for a place to relocate their business, you know, and there's a couple, you know, we want the wife and the kids to say, hey, Dad, we like this town. We want to stay over here. You know, this is a nice, beautiful town. You know, that's what we're attracted to. We want to work with our schools to enhance that quality of life. Strong schools, strong quality of life. You know, that's an economic development program that you can be proud of, and then I think will be successful in the long run.
I think even Mr. Beckman, the night he was here, recognized that Newman has been a smart growth community and pretty much, you know, made us aware of some things we need to be keenly aware of, but also I got the sense that he was supportive of what we were doing as a city, so.
And Mayor, it should also be noted that our general plan density is 25% more than our existing land use. So we've increased our density as part of this, and that's another ag preservation strategy, is to decrease the number of houses per acre, thereby consuming less land. So not only have we built that into our general plan, if we do this on top, I mean, there's two strong components for ag preservation that we've done right there. One, we've increased our density, and two, we've set a boundary that we're going to live with for the next 25 years.
Well, I think it's a good idea for you to go and share this with the LAFCO board personally, so consensus of the council is allow our city manager to talk to the LAFCO board.
Absolutely. Sure.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Michael. Okay, we'll go to item 11, item from District 5 Supervisor Jen DeMartini.
Good evening, Mayor Caton, council members, and staff. I missed your meeting last time because I was in Washington, so I'm going to give you some of the highlights of what we did that specifically concerns the west side. We had three issues that we were working on. First one was the recycled water from the sewage treatment plants of Modesto and Turlock to bring into the Del Puerto Irrigation District, which has a zero allocation this year. And we were looking for funding for a pipeline to run specifically from Turlock over to the aqueduct so that water could be stored in San Luis Reservoir. Also, the city of Modesto is in the process of making their sewer plant a tertiary treatment plant, and that water would also be piped into the same pipeline. Del Puerto Irrigation District would buy the water. They're roughly, $200 a foot or so. The project is going to cost about $100 million, so it's not cheap. We were asking for $25 million in initial funding to get the project started. The rest would be paid for by Del Puerto Irrigation District. We actually found a lot of support for that. Recycled water from sewage treatment plants for agricultural irrigation is it's kind of in line with what the federal government is looking for. So those meetings went very well. We also worked, we went to talk about the Oristema Creek Flood Project. We met with Congressman Denham on that to be sure that the chief's report is put into the WRDA document, WRDA's Water Resources Development Act. He said he would be sure that when that document was produced, it was in there. The Oristema project did get completed by the deadline to put it in the WRDA document. What's holding everything up is that there are some other projects that did not get done by the time the deadline, and some of their local congressmen are trying to stick those into the bill. And that's what's holding the whole WRDA document up. The ask is for $1 million, and that money would be used for the design of the project. We've already been through the feasibility, which is a long road. That's done. Now we're asking for the $1 million. I feel very confident that we will get that. We talked to the Corps of Engineers and our congressman. The project has been signed off in the chief's report. It's in there. When that WRDA document is produced, that project will be in there, and then it will be, funding will be appropriated in next year's budget. And I believe the federal budget is maybe in October 1st fiscal year, I think that's what it is. Anyway, that project looks good. It's on track, and I feel very good about the meetings that we went, that $1 million would be forthcoming. There are no issues with the feasibility report. And then we also talked about the air base. As you know, the county is going through the secret documents now for the Crow's Landing Air Base to reuse the facility as some type of business park. We're doing the work on it now. There's no infrastructure there, so we were looking for any kind of funding that might help, the pipe for the sewer system, utilities, roads, or anything like that. I can't specifically say that we got any funding for that, but we didn't get any opposition to the project. Excuse me, my allergies bother me today. Anyway, that's what we did, and, specific things for the west side. We also talked about putting in a veterans building in Modesto, and we're looking for some funding for that. And then we had other projects too, but specifically, those are the ones for the west side. For the Healthcare Task Force, we have picked the date of August 21st for the Health Summit right here in Newman at the West Side Theater. And so we're in the planning stages for that, Biggest Loser contest and the Health Summit. And our next meeting of the task force is May 8th, right here in Newman. Or we'll do some more of the planning. And we also have approved some funding for an intern, too, so we can get our projects moving a lot faster now. And that's all I have tonight, unless you have any questions.
Any questions or comments, or Supervisor? Thanks for that report, Jim. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, we'll go to item 12, items from the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor, member of council. Just a reminder, this is the dump week for everyone to get rid of their yard waste or other things that are around the house, and you can do that at Berlotti's yard on M Street. The Alliance is going to be in town. Mr. David White will be in town with Ray Campanero. On this Friday, there's actually a retail leakage report that was prepared for the city of Newman, so we can see where our businesses are being successful in terms of capturing sales tax and retail sales, and then we can see other areas where we're leaking out our dollars into other communities. It's quite a telling report, so I can share that with any member of the council that would like that. I can just forward it to you on your email. In fact, I'll just do that for everybody. I'll just ship that out, so. For members of our council that sit on the 2-on-2, I have confirmed that next Tuesday, at 4 p.m., the school district will be here to have our 2-on-2 meeting.
That's for sure.
That's confirmed already. So we'll do about an hour on that day. So that'll be next Tuesday. We're continuing to work, our staff's continuing to work with Chevron and Solar City on some potential alternative energy sources, as well as replacement of some LED lights in town. So our public works staff is working diligently on that project, and we're hoping that to achieve some savings, real savings there. So we hope to come back to you with that before too long. And then just lastly, again, I don't want to overstate it, but the Architecture Review Committee, we appointed Mr. Manuel today. They do an excellent job for us. I mean, you can, again, look at, AutoZone's a nice, beautiful building. Dollar General came out with a beautiful building. Kurt Honeywell, his building really set the tone. He was one of the first ones that really went a little bit overboard on it, and that has stood the test of time. He's got a beautiful building as well there. So you're really starting to see some new commercial buildings coming in that have a little bit extra in terms of the architecture on there. I've been able to go through some of the other valley towns where the Dollar General is moving in, or an AutoZone moved in, and they don't look as good as ours. You probably have to go maybe to the Bay Area to see where they're putting a little bit extra on it. So, and that's through the hard work of people like Mr. Manuel, and as well as Ms. Ocasio, who works with the developers on that. So they should be commended for all their hard work in helping our highway corridor be beautified. So Mayor, with that, I don't have anything else.
Any questions or comments for City Manager? Okay, thank you. Staff, Lieutenant Short.
Nothing tonight.
Stephanie?
Nothing tonight.
Lou?
Wow, I got something. That's unusual, huh? Good evening, Mayor and council members. Our contract with Bertolotti requires that every 2 years we adjust our refuse rates, which would be this July 1st. It's based partially on inflation factors. The two factors are a change in the consumer price index and also a change in the tipping fees at the Fink Road landfill. I bring this up because the method for noticing this rate adjustment has been changed. We're required to provide it with the regular monthly bill, and this next bill that goes out will include that rate change notice in there. The rate adjustment for the next 2 years would only be a 1.5% change. This equates to a 26-cent increase on a 90-gallon can and a 18-cent increase on a 60-gallon can. The majority of our residents have one or the other of these two, so the impact on the residents will be very minimal. At our May 27th meeting, we'll hold a public hearing on this proposed rate change, and if adopted at that time, July 1st, the new rates would be in effect. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Questions or comments for Lou? Thank you, sir. Sim?
Good
Next.
evening. Yeah, I have a couple of items to update. The first one is that, could you show the graph? Yes. This is regarding the water well production, so the weekly production rate. So city staff understand that many residents concerning about our well production as well as water quality. There are two key information we need to understand related to the water productions here in Newman. The first one is that well production record is a gallon per week. So as you can see, the numbers in the winter season or early spring, so average production rates between around 10 million gallon per week. So based on the numbers, city staff sometimes adjust our irrigation time for parks, so you can see the water conservation rate. So as temperature goes up, the numbers go up as well. So the city staff developed several attention alert level. Just in case something happens, we need to respond to the emergency situation right away. So attention alert level 1, 2, 3, based on the gallon per week. So we were working on it. Next council meeting, so we are going to provide really key information, which is peak flow rate, because the peak flow rate tells how much of a capacity we must carry over during the summer season. So we got several kind of resources regarding the temperature in summer. Unfortunately, so we are expecting higher temperature this summer. That means we must prepare emergency action plan really well, just in case. Because several years ago, one water well failed several days, so we must provide good quality water no matter what the situations are. So we are diligently working on it. So we will keep updating those key information during the council meeting. The quick update on FEMA CRS, the May 6th, the CRS specialists will be visiting the city to conduct some investigation on how to conduct our flood protection measures. So we are expecting to file and submit the application for CRS in May. It's very close. Any question I can answer?
Any questions or comments? Thank you for that update. Appreciate
Welcome.
it. Okay, items from council members. Roberta?
I don't have anything tonight.
Nick?
Nothing tonight.
Bob?
Just a comment. Congratulations, Ken, and thank you. Architectural Review Committee, like Michael was saying, is so important. I know that when they were putting together General Dollar, I questioned Michael because initial construction, was not something I thought was going to turn out to be very nice. And he said, wait, Bob, just wait. And so, anyway, obviously, I had to wait to see what happened. But anyway, I thank you for staying on and continuing to do an excellent job.
It's a pleasure and it's sort of interesting. And fortunately, all the people on the committee are all for Newman.
Yeah.
That's what they're really for. And if
Yeah.
they don't think it's not going to make Newman better, they speak up and we argue about it. And you see the results.
Yes, we do, and thank you so much, because the results are great. And thank you again. The only other comment I'd like to say, the proclamation tonight for the library, really important when, the library serves the city of Newman, and it's just one of those special places that everyone can go to get some great books to read, or the children can go for different programs they have, and thank you so much for what you do at the library. It's really important to the city of Newman, and that's all I have.
Thank you, Bob. And I would just echo that, and also, Kent, again, thank you for your dedication to the community. Appreciate it so much. The only thing I have is, I'd like to thank Stephanie Ocasio for bailing me out last Thursday. As you may or may not know, Cat Country was in town and did their road show from Yancey Lumber, and the DJ, Nikki Thomas, was here in town broadcasting live. And so I thought it'd be nice to have a proclamation to take down there, so I called my immediate backup, Mike, but he was busy. So I went, my next best backup was Stephanie. She stepped up and saved me, and so I appreciate it very much. So I presented Cat Country with a proclamation proclaiming April 3rd as Cat Country Day in Newman, and they were generally touched. I thought it was a very, very nice proclamation, and so, but it was great because during the broadcast they promoted the Newman Canine Association and their upcoming crab feed. They promoted the West Side Auto Club, who was there in force with their cars, and also the Stable Living Group showed up, and so they took pictures, got them on radio, and so it was a great time, and they were there from like 11 to 2, and so I got up and said a few words about Newman, and so now DJ Nikki Thomas and I are like best friends. So it was a great morning. We had a lot of fun with them, and so again, Stephanie, thank you so much. And I also gave them a copy of our Kowalski Centennial book, which they loved. And they took it back. In fact, she emailed me when she got back, and the director of the show, director of the radio station, the boss, I guess, listened, and he was just really, really touched, and they loved the book. And we were the only city out of the 30 stops they did that gave them a proclamation. They got a lot of other gifts, but we were the only city that presented a proclamation. So thank you so much for bailing me out.
You're welcome.
Great. It was a great job. So with that, ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion and a second. We're adjourned. Good night.